Mine was bad, bitch.
Socks?
No, they're like little strippers.
Oh, even better. Smash the subscribe button. I need new socks.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my last episode of Not Cool at the Comedy Store. Not the last episode of Not Cool. Let me get that clear. Not Cool Pod will go on its own platform, but Not Cool at the Comedy Store Studios is no longer after this episode. C'est la vie. Au revoir. That was from Pee-wee's movie.
Also not at Comedy Store Studios.
Au revoir, Pee-wee. So for my last episode, the Comedy Store Studio, I thought it was fitting. We thought it was fitting as a Comedy Store Studio family. Previously, that my last exit interview, as we'll call it, was it with my producer, my forever producer, wherever I go, in his phone, watch phone, Mr. Jon Sosis. Yay!
Oh, man. Look at us. What's this, episode 31? I like this. Oh, my God. I never want to leave now. Wait, so it's actually, it's your last episode. I'm, at the time that this is posting, I no longer am the head of Comedy Store Studios.
Yep.
I've resigned from that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think we had a good run here for 30 episodes.
We did.
We had some pretty good episodes
We did.
for our pod. Yeah, we had like some amazing guests.
We did. I feel, okay. First, let me say this. Before we start, I want to say thank you because Jon was willing to give me a shot. Jon knew me before I started doing Not Cool because of Jessica Curson and her videos, which were online, because both, obviously, Jessica Curson and Jon Sosis are from New York.
Yeah.
Did you guys work together? Or just
So
comedy?
I took Jess's stand-up class at Gotham.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was always putting me on her Friday night shows, and like I just knew her through there. And she's the best.
Yeah.
I love Jess. And then I saw you torturing her on the road. And then like it's weird when you get to know someone and things click. I forgot that because I knew you once you said it. I knew you from Punked.
Oh, yeah.
I had seen you on Punked. But it just didn't click until I'm like, okay, that's where I also know her from. It's not just from that.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And I always thought you were hilarious. I'm like, why doesn't she have a podcast? And here we are, 30
Thanks,
episodes
Jon.
later.
That's really sweet.
We almost made it a full year.
We actually almost did the first
22 episodes away.
The first one was with Bobby Lee that dropped on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Your first few episodes alone for a new podcast, it's hard to get big names because there are just no numbers to show. It's the same thing with advertisers. Episode 5, Jason Mraz sitting here playing music.
Yeah. Look, I'm proud of it.
Yeah. No, it's really, that's why, like I texted you this morning, I was like, oh no, the show's going on.
Yeah.
This is just going to be a little wrap up for us.
Yeah.
Our exit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yes, you're correct. So how that even started was because I came and did an episode. Jon asked me to come and be a guest on Justin Martindale's podcast, which is also here at the Comedy Store. And so I did that. And after that podcast, you just kind of very nonchalantly off the cuff was like, so do you want to try a podcast here? And I was like, sure, man. Because it had been in my head, like that seed had already been planted before. Because I never done podcast was not even a thing in my life until I went on Tiger Belly. And I did Jessica Curson's Disgusting Hawk in New York at Gas Digital. But I didn't see that as a podcast because we would just go and fuck around.
It was chaos.
I didn't even know it was a podcast.
Yeah.
She was like, you want to come do this thing? Do you have like a character? I was like, do I have a character? Fuck yeah, I got a character. I got a ton of them in there. Like, and so yeah, that's how that started. But I just remember I never looked at it as going to do a podcast.
Yeah.
Because it was just, she never had a plan. I never had a plan. So it's kind of like, we'll see how it goes. So the first structured one that I actually still, even when I was asked to go on Tiger Belly, still didn't have it in my head because I never had seen it and I didn't know how big it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, cool. I'll come do your little interview.
Little did you know, biggest podcast in the world. One of them.
One of them. Yeah, I had no idea, which was great because I was nervous, of course, just because it's, it's a crazy situation. But yeah, but it was fun. I didn't have any previous experience to base it on. So that's really my only idea of a podcast.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And Jen and I were just talking about this, like it was nonchalant, like the way that I approached you about it, because just backstory on this, I moved out here to start Comedy Store Studios. There were people that were always like fucking around down here, but there was never an established studio or network or anything where you had a collection of talent doing things. And my view, which is not the view of my what's my replacement, if you want to call it that.
Sure thing.
But my view is always the Comedy Store missed the boat on so many potential wins. So every big podcast is from a Comedy Store guy right now, with the exception of like Mark Normand, who just got passed. But like the New York side, in LA, the biggest podcasts are all store comics. It's Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Mark Maron, Joe Rogan, like Whitney Cummings. It's all of their podcasts. It's all store people. The store never had the structure to give them what they needed to become what they are now. And I was like, we have the opportunity now to look into talent, whether they're paid regulars or not, just people that pass through the store, and build a network on people, based on people that we think are going to be the next big thing. And like just seeing you on Justin's podcast, seeing you with Jess, it was always so funny. It was like a no-brainer that like while you were in Justin's podcast, yeah, I was producing, but I was also Googling trying to find out if you had a podcast. I was like, if she has a podcast, I'm not going to bring it up, but you didn't. And I was like, well, yeah, of course I wanted to have a podcast here. And we did it. You did it. You painted this whole thing.
I did. Well, I think, again, I am not a paid regular here at the Comedy Store. And I think that was when I did stand up here, even when I was brand new, I always did stand up here, like in the belly room, or even when Mitzi was alive and Tommy was here managing, like I've been around, that. So it was to me an honor to actually do a podcast. No, I'm going to bring it back in. Trust me.
This is out of control.
I'm not going to flower it too much without a little weed. Are you kidding me?
We got it.
So have you met me? I'm not that. Okay. So, but it was was, so just being along, the journey, it's definitely been, the podcast world down here to me is very separate from like the stand-up comedy world.
And that's what it was supposed to be. I think my goal was this needs to be all inclusive, especially if our overarching thing is comedy and not stand-up comedy. So if you want to be a stand-up comic at the store, you have to go through the motions and be passed and all of that. But if you want to be part of Comedy Store Studios, you just need to be funny, and that could be a pathway into the store. And like that's a way to get seen. That's a way for people to see, to get on the radar in front of store people. That like the potluck, if you get on potluck, you don't get up again for 4 months. So it's like 3 months, 4 months. So this was a way to have your own name on a Comedy Store type network that would allow people to get into the door and just be around everybody that's here. And that wasn't really my purpose for you, because for me, it was always like you could get into development if you genuinely wanted to. I honestly believe that. This was more for just, I want funny people to have a place to come and be funny and not have the pressure of having to do stand-up or be a paid regular or feel like they don't have a place at the store just because they are in a paid regular, which is basically all the fist bump. I keep calling them fist bumpers. It's becoming like a bad, like
Who
a
are the
negative.
fist pumpers?
They line the back door and they just fist bump everyone that walks by them. It's like I've never seen them get on a stage. I've never seen them do a potluck. They just line by the back door, and I must fist bump 100 people a day, and I don't know any of them. I don't know any of their names. There are people that, like, if I know, I hug. But then when you're walking back there, everybody wants to fist bump you.
Yeah.
Those are the fist bumpers. I don't know what they do.
There's so many fist
Yeah,
bumpers.
there's so many fist bumpers. They're in the bar. They're in the back door. They're everywhere. Everywhere you
Who
turn,
are
there's a
you?
fist bumper. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so with that being said, with the time that you were here and with the projects that you did create, do you feel like you did what you came here to do? With the podcast?
Yes, I'm very proud. Listen, with limited resources and a team of 2, shout out Katie, I did everything I was able to do. We have over 1,000 hours of content. I produced 6 comedy specials. We put out 8 records. Because I was also running the record label on top of the original content and the podcasting, I'm very proud of what I was able to do with the little I was given. And I don't take responsibility for the podcast network. Like, you guys come in with your idea, deliver every single time. I don't think I ever booked a guest for you. I think you booked all of your amazing guests. You painted the backdrop. Katie and I literally show up, and Katie did all the board work. I did the editing, but it was like a team effort that was only able to happen because you were doing the work to promote it, to get people on. And that's for all the shows. For all the shows, I didn't do anything. I would upload the audio and video, and that's it after I edit it. But you guys developed and put together your shows, and you did what you wanted. And what we'll get into, like, what's happening now, but it seems like people outside of those worlds want to have involvement in the development of shows. That's not how that works. You have to let creatives and artists do their thing. All you can do is help guide them, like, hey, post on this day instead of this day. But to get into the creative world when you don't have a creative bone in your body, not going to deliver good product. And you see that now with films and TV shows. As soon as the studios and the suits get involved, everything turns to shit. Like, stay in your lane.
But can I say, though?
No.
Because you were a stand-up.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about me specifically. I think it was very easy to let you guys do your thing because I don't have an ego about it.
Yeah.
But if somebody asked my opinion, I'm more than happy to give it. But I didn't have to for a lot of these shows because you guys knew what you were doing.
Right.
And you had the idea, you had the concept. There were a few times where I would say, like, This Week in Crime is another great show. And I was just like, hey, what if you did something like this? And they're like, oh, that's really funny. And, like, I'm fine pitching that. But if they would have said, no, that doesn't really fit for what, I would have been like, yeah, okay, that's fine. You have a vision, do it. And if it doesn't work, I also don't have to take the responsibility for that.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything was working. The numbers were going up. Everybody was sort of building their audience, and it was cool to see. So I'm definitely proud of what I was able to do with all you guys.
Well,
and then
before we even get to that part,
okay.
I guess, like, 2 things. What will you miss the most, and what will you miss the least?
Oh boy. Okay. So I guess I'll preface that with saying in May, I told my boss and basically everyone that I was not renewing my contract in August. And do we want to get into what? Basically, failure of leadership is probably the basis for all companies collapsing. And that's what I was dealing with. I was dealing with just an inadequate leader above me that we weren't getting the support we needed. There were personal agendas involved. I'll leave it at that. I was no longer willing to risk my reputation and my relationships because I was bringing people in to work with us and companies and outside businesses. It wasn't worth my relationships to continue staying here. So I ended up giving my notice. And from there, it was like, when I gave my notice, I was asked, hey, so as we're looking for someone to come in and take over the studio, is it okay if we include you in those interviews? And I know how things go here, so I was like, there will be no interviews. There were no interviews. I got an email one day. First of all, they kept it a secret. They wouldn't tell me who it is. I'm like, okay, I don't give a shit who it is. I know they're not going to do what I do. Nobody knows. I didn't care. But then I get an email saying, starting June 5th, so and so will have their first day and start training to become the head of Comedy Store Studios. And that's where it was one of those. Very rarely do you read something and laugh out loud when you're alone in a room. I laughed really loud because should I go into it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, there were no interviews. 3 months earlier to this, the person who's replacing me tried to sell us a podcast network that was going out of business. Three months earlier, we literally got on a call where they said we should buy their podcast network. And my first question, pretty reasonable question. My first question was, hey, do you own any of the podcasts? Or do we pay you millions of dollars for the podcast network, and then the next day the shows can leave the network? And I was told they can leave the network, but I don't think they will. And not even a month later, the website says that they are out of business. So in true Comedy Store fashion.
So on brand.
Yeah. Very on brand. Very on brand. Immediately, their decision was, we need this person to run our network.
I'm glad they nabbed him quick.
Yeah. Oh, they did.
Woo!
Ooh.
Thank God.
Yeah. So
Better probably a bidding war, huh? On that guy?
there was a real bidding war. Hey, do you need a job? Yes, you're hired.
They just went and chose a guy in line.
Yeah.
You like comedy, huh? Yeah, I sure do.
That's what
they
did. They actually walked down to see the people lined up to see the main room show. And he looks like he likes podcasts. Let's bring him in.
I like
fist
how,
bumper, yeah.
Let's bring that fist bumper in.
Yeah, so
Can't.
just to I was not part of the interview process.
Because you weren't in line.
I probably would have reminded someone, hey,
Yeah.
3 months earlier. Okay, never mind. This literally cannot come out until after I leave. Okay, so all of that, let me answer your question. I didn't even answer your question. We're getting into the shit talking already. I didn't even answer your question. I'm going to miss the people the most. I'm genuinely like, there are a lot of people here that I'm learning now I will never speak to again when I leave here. Like, I was the podcast guy. I was the production guy. As soon as I leave, they have no use for me. I'm probably not going to hear from them. I'm okay with that. I've accepted it. For the most part, it's people that I didn't consider friends. So like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't care. As for like, there are people I'm going to miss seeing as frequently. I'm sure life is going to just catch up with me at the new gig. It's going to catch up with the people who are doing podcasts elsewhere. We're not going to see each other as much. I'm going to miss that. Like, I love seeing you once every week or 2 weeks, and like, that's probably going to have to change, but so I miss that. I'm going to miss seeing a lot of the coworkers that I do like.
Yeah.
There are at least 2 or 3 people here that I think do work, and I respect them. So I'm definitely going to miss that. Shout out Ryan and Sam. And then there are the thing I'm going to miss least is like the stressful part of like, hey, you just bought us a camera. Maybe instead of spending X amount of dollars on this that does nothing for us, you could buy us a lens for the camera so we could use it. Like, I'm going to miss those logical conversations. Like, the camera body only does so much. Can you buy us a lens, please, sir? Like, I'm not going to miss that at all.
Yeah.
I'm not going to miss, the dumb conversations I have to get anything done here. I'm not going to miss that. I think that's what I miss about the corporate world. There were like budgets. We didn't have a budget. My credit card had like a $300 limit. So if this microphone wasn't working, I had to get 4 people's permission to get a new microphone.
Yeah.
It's like, I need a budget. Like, trust that if you hired me for this role, I'm going to know how to use a budget up in a way that's beneficial and not just spend money on snacks. Yeah. Like, I don't know what the thought process was, but a real company needs a budget. I'm going to miss not having that. I'm going to miss there being no accountability, like in a corporate, because I come from the corporate world, and I kind of miss that if you're fucking around and you're not giving, and your resources are not, you don't have resources, there are people that have to answer for that. And here it's just, nope.
Yeah.
So
I think there's no human resources here.
Sadly, there is.
Oh, there is.
Also, very
I'm
useless.
actually shocked.
Very useless. Oh, it's there might as well be no human resources.
He's also the
here.
bartender.
Yeah, our security guy is our accountant now. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, there are things I'm just not going to miss.
One of my favorite things that I always saw you post in your stories, I think it was about how comics would always approach you about their podcast
oh my God.
ideas.
I'm not going to miss that. Oh,
it always made me laugh so hard.
You know what I'm also not going to miss? Thinking girls like me.
Oh.
And like, because I work at the Comedy Store, you meet people and you're like, oh, this girl seems cool. I'm going to talk to her. And then like, you'll start hanging out, sometimes outside of the store, sometimes when they're here, like just, and then there's just that one time where you hang out and she goes, oh, I wanted to run this by you. And like, oh, it was building up to this. And then here's the thing though, at some point, once that happens, you get that feeling of, oh, I'm no longer like, this is what our friendship was. I can now be completely honest and say, no, we do not want a podcast where you're standing in front of the store interviewing strangers. We don't need that.
That is so original.
It really is.
That?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm definitely not going to miss the podcast pitches.
What's the craziest podcast pitch you got from it?
That's the problem. No crazy podcast pitches. They're all the same. Oh, me and so come in and we bring a guest every week. What?
Like mine?
Real groundbreaking. See, yours has an art aspect to it. Plus, your guests are amazing. This was 2 comics I've never heard of. I've heard a Guess Who one. It's like the game Guess Who, except I'm like, it's a podcast. What's going on?
What? But with an actual live person, they just give you clues, and
I didn't get that far. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll keep it in mind.
Okay.
Let's just fist bump and get this over with. Let me. It's like that one was happening as I was walking to the back.
Yeah.
I got a fist bump. Oh, I wanted to talk to you. I was like, okay, we're good. We don't have to do this. We'll just fist bump and let me be on my way. Yeah, I'm not going to miss the podcast pitches. And I'm also not going to miss people only talking to me because I'm associated with the store. It's going to be nice. Like the people I meet outside of here are going to now just, it's going to be for what I'm doing outside of here, not because I'm associated with this store.
Yeah.
So that'll definitely be nice. But yeah, what are you gonna miss about podcasts? I have. Yeah. So what do we want to talk about first? Do we want to get into, now that I gave my notice, should we talk about what happened from there?
Yeah, so that was kind of the backstory.
Okay.
So my experience with Jon, that's my experience with Jon here at the Comedy Store. That Jon was the producer of the Comedy Store Studios and put all the podcasts that you see now onto the Comedy Store Studio page on YouTube and on audio. And so I guess a month ago, you put in your notice.
Yeah, like 3 months ago.
3 months ago, you put in your notice. So we're taking a nosedive down. And initially when Jon told me that he was going to not be here, then I started planning my exit.
Yeah.
As soon as you told me you weren't coming, I was planning my exit.
And to be fair, I told you, like, I genuinely consider you a friend. I told you before I even had the meeting with them.
Yeah.
So, like, there were a few people that I told, and I think there was this thought of, I hope they talk him into staying. Mm-hmm. They didn't make any attempt.
No.
But
We'll get into
that. But yeah, I told Katie, I told you, I told a few people upstairs, like, this is the end for me. Like, I'm done.
And no offense, but we saw that before it was happening.
Because I was miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were really stressed out. You were running multiple podcasts with a staff of 2. 4, it was 1.
It wasn't even just that. There were things going on behind the scenes that were very stressful, like potential deals being ruined by people that I won't mention. Partnerships, deals, projects that I was working on behind it. It was like a self-sabotage of this place. And so I was done. And like, I feel bad because a lot of people told me it was noticeable.
Yeah.
And now you guys were the first ones to be like, you look so happy.
Yeah. So ever since Jon gave his notice, and again, this is, I think, universally law. This tells you you're doing the right thing when you're mentally, emotionally, physically, literally thriving after you've given a notice that you're not doing this anymore. And so right when Jon gave his notice, like, like his life took off. Like his skin was glowing. I was like, holy, did you guys just come from the fucking forest with the 7? Look at you. You look rested. You have hope.
I've literally lost 10 pounds.
You lost 10 pounds in 10 minutes? I don't even know.
It was...
No, it's... So, so we're very happy that not that you were leaving, but happy that, watching a situation which was so stressful and then, having that relief of like, because whatever. I mean, the comedy store has its dysfunction.
It's a toxic place.
Okay.
In a general sense.
In a general sense.
With drama and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's, filled with mentally ill people with substance abuse problems and lack of resource and therapy. Whatever, that's just comedians,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that happened. And then so I was like, well, I'm leaving. And then Jon's like, well, see if you can stay. And then I was like, okay. And then cut to a week ago or so. I was approached by the new guy, the new Jon Sosis, who I won't mention his name.
Wait, I think something happened that I didn't even tell you about.
Oh, fuck.
So I was told all the podcasts were probably going to be ended by him. Mm-hmm. But I told people, listen, if you can stay. In the meantime, I'm talking to other people about potential jobs. I'll include your podcast as like I'll mention it. And if there's a place for it to live somewhere else and you genuinely want to leave, we'll figure it out. But you should try and stay at the store. It benefits you to be at the store. So I wasn't trying to get anyone away, but I wanted to make sure anybody who genuinely wanted to leave, I was at least doing what I can, because I kind of have this Jewish guilt. Like, nobody would be having an issue if I didn't quit. But also, I was mentally dwindling away. So then the CFO takes me down to the basement.
Oh.
And he goes... There's rumors going around that you're trying to sell some of our shows off.
It's like a fucking special needs mafia down there. What are we talking about?
This guy has called me 3 times about rumors that he heard about me.
Huh.
Oh, my watch is also in on this. So he calls me down. He's like, well, I've been hearing rumors. The first one was, I'm hearing rumors that you want us to beg you to stay. I was like, no, I already have job offers. I'm gone. Second rumor was this one. I'm hearing that you're selling off our podcasts. It's like, guy, I'm not selling off anything. Nobody wants to fucking be here unless they have to be. Chill out. And then the other day yesterday he calls me and he goes, I'm hearing a new rumor that you're not happy. I was like, I swear to God. And I mentioned your name. I'm like, call Sarah Hyland. I've never been this happy. I don't know who told you that, but I've genuinely never been happier. So now I'm starting to think they want me to stay. And I'm like, No, you had 3 months for that. And now my podcast network is gone. So,
Yeah.
okay, so continue. So the new guy, we're recording an episode last week.
Anything that starts with they took me down to the basement is never good.
Nope.
Unless it's to grab beer from their double
It's never.
refrigerator.
Yeah, he took me down to the basement and then gave me $1 million.
And then shot me with a bag over my head. But other than that, I watched too many mafia movies. So then I guess, I don't know, I guess it was a week ago, whatever. The new guy running the show here, who apparently I've known for a long time.
Can we talk about that? Okay.
I feel really bad about it still, but not. Like, go, you can tell this story.
I mean, okay, so the new guy, I guess trying to win people over has just been said. Like, I guess he's told the owner and everybody who oh yeah, I know everybody. I know everybody out of maybe 5 people have said, oh, I know who that is. But he's basically been going around, oh, I know this person. And he specifically called me to tell me he knew everybody on the podcast network. And he's like, yeah, I know Justin. I know the... He goes, yeah, I know Sarah Hyland. I've known her for 20 years, since she's 22. I tell Sarah. Sarah's like, I haven't been doing stand-up for 20 years.
And then I said, I don't know who that is.
She goes, I don't know who that is. And I'm not going to lie. There was a part of me that felt she was just trying to make me feel better until a few weeks later on Potluck. Okay, what happened?
Well, no, because I was here with Jason Ellis.
Yeah,
he was doing Potluck. And I was here, and apparently the guy was in the room.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And then we walked down to the hall, and he approached me. He's like, hey, what's up? I was like... I did that thing where you don't know who somebody is. I was like, what's up?
And you just
I said, I didn't know who he was. I said, oh, are you performing tonight?
That's what you have to do in this place. Even when the fist bumpers come up to you, you have to either assume they're a comic or a fan. And because I'm not a comic, I know they're not a fan of mine. Yeah. So I assume anyone who's talking to me is a comic.
So that's what I said. I was like, oh, because I was thinking that would help me place him. I was mapping in my head of like, how can I like...
Have you ever seen this person before in your life?
I don't remember. I don't. And he kept talking. I was like, oh, are you performing tonight? And he's like, oh, I'm not a comic. And I was like, oh no. Because then I knew I fucked up because I could tell he knew me. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. He's like, and then he said his name. And I was like, oh. Still, like, in such a fucking fog of, like, what do I do next? And so it was awkward.
Do you think that was the moment where he said she's gone?
He probably was like, that fucking bitch.
Well, okay, here's the thing. With certain people, I'm not going to say specifically this person, certain people say, oh, I know so-and-so, the same way I would say, oh, yeah, I know Madonna.
Yeah.
Like, you know of the person, maybe from social media. I don't want to, like, put it on him that he was intentionally trying to fool people into thinking that he knows who they are. But that's humiliating.
I think that was the moment he cut my show. I really think that was my moment. That was my defining moment, whether I stayed or went. You know what? The chips fall where they fall, man. And that was a divine moment that I was like, I can continue to fucking remain completely, consistently bombing at the Comedy Store, go do my own thing. So that's how that happened. And I could not pick him out from anyone. If you would have asked me out of this lineup of people of the past 20 years, which one do you know? He ain't it. Do you know what I mean? Like there is 100 other strangers I saw at Whole Foods that I'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy in the grape aisle. Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, he works produce, right? Yeah, I've seen him. He's a great guy. Is it Chuck? Yeah, Chuck's a shit. Chuck's a shit. I like how he bags the grapes. He keeps them color coordinated. Like, that would have been more likely than me calling out this fucking dude. And that, my friend, was why I got called into the office. I got called up. I was sent an email. I don't remember, but he called me. That's right. And he's like, when's a good time to check in? And I said, hey, buddy, look. I said, I've been around for a minute. I think you were in the car. It takes a lot for me to get to that tone. Because once I get to that tone, you have done fucked me. And so, and I don't care. And so, because I do have a side. I'm not nice all the fucking time. Like if I hate you that much, it's not hate.
It's not a hate thing. It's
not hate.
Listen, I don't have stupid written on my forehead. Yeah. Let's talk like adults.
It's that.
Yeah, and I'm the same way.
I said that to him. I said, don't bullshit me. Don't like fluff it up. Just be straight up with me. And I don't want to take all day with this. So what are we doing? He's like, well, do you want to have that conversation now? Which I couldn't. And he's like, well, let's, talk tonight at the Comedy Store. Because I was going to be there for something else. So I go all the way up to
he takes you to the 5th floor.
To the 5th fucking floor of the Comedy Store. And we're doing the dumb bullshit. I was like, oh, cool. There's a top floor at the Comedy Store. Neato. And like he sat down and I sat down. And I was like, and he did that whole thing where they're going to fire somebody, like he was doing I'm going to have to let this person go. It's Christmas time. I feel terrible. And they have a family and God damn it. And I just don't have the money to pay you. And it's just, you've been good to us, Dolores. It's like, it was that tone. And then I was like, have you made what I said first? I said, before you even say, like, have you made the decision that my podcast is gone? Just say that right off the bat, because I'm not going to sit here and do this. And then he didn't answer that. He's like, well, let's get into numbers here. Let's go data. And I was like, well, you lost me. And I was like, you could play a Metallica song and I'll stay for that 3 minutes, but doing data? No thanks. So he went into the data because his background is in analytics and social media numbers. I was like, snooze fest. And so if
that's his background, I'm mortified.
It is. And he's like, I hate to talk numbers with you. I was like, well, I fucking do too. Can we skip over to something else? Like, are we done? And so he's like, he said, I just hate it. I hate it for, podcasts, but celebrities are now doing podcasts and they're just, really saturating the market. And I was like, I was like, no shit, fucking thick fuck, let's go. And so he's like, well, I looked at your numbers and there's, a sprinkling of some good numbers in there, but your baseline is around, like 500. And in my experience is that most podcasts, if they don't take off, skyrocket. In the first 3 months, it ain't gonna hit. He didn't say ain't. That was my own interpretation. It's not gonna hit. And I was like, wow, bro. I was like, okay. Like, there was nothing. He was bringing me charts of like, grids and data and that. I was just like,
why'd you bring in an X-ray? What is this?
I was like, what do you want me to say? I was like, you're right. It's a new podcast. Do I know who I'm going up against? Do I know how saturated? There's 17 million podcasts.
Yeah.
And 15 million of those are people that are on movies and they have fucking 7 million followers. You're correct.
So here's the thought process, which like I said before, my business model is get in early on people, like bet on the people you think are going to blow up and get in early on that. His model seems to be, let's try and get podcasts that have millions of followers. And the logic behind that is, yeah, they would love to give a revenue share to the Comedy Store. They're doing fine on their own, but wouldn't they love to give some money to what is the logic there?
Yeah.
You have to start podcasts from scratch. So there's a very good chance he's going to just bet on different people than I did, and that's fine. But the idea that he's going to have any podcast start here that has 1 million listens in 3 months is absurd. So it scares me that that's what his background is.
Yeah. And because that was my thing. I was like, look, man, the people that you're comparing me to don't need to do a podcast at the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
They don't need it. You know why? Because they have their own fucking studios. Like, what are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Logic.
Yeah. They don't need it. They don't need you.
No, they just want to give 20% to the Comedy
For
Store.
sure. Yeah.
They don't like that 20%.
Because it's such an inspirational place to be. Like, no, so that was the thing. Like, there was, and I didn't try to do anything. I was just like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Sure, numbers wise, yeah, you're right. Like, I'm a very new podcast.
And your numbers are not that low.
They're whatever. But it's the same time, it was just, it's always in this city, it's just it's a sense of rejection of like, I don't want to be a part of I don't want to go to your party, but I'd like to be invited to the fucking party. And so it's kind of, it just, your heart sinks a little bit because you're like,
course.
Yeah, I know that, dude. I'm not a celebrity that has like, it's just, no, like they can start a podcast today. Like Angelina Jolie decided one day she wants to be on Instagram. She got on Instagram, within an hour she had 1 million followers. A goddamn 1 million followers.
Does that upset you?
Well, no, but that's.
Are you saying that she should do a podcast?
She should do a podcast.
You think he's gonna get her on the network?
Yeah, and all the orphans will come in this room.
Yeah,
and they'll have baby microphones, and they'll all tell about their horrible stories and how Angelina saved them, and they all are carried in backpacks. So no, I'm not saying that's what. I'm just saying numbers wise.
Yeah.
Yes, everyone knows that. That's logic. Is it risky to? It's not risky. That's why it's a goddamn passion. It's mine. It's a passion project. That's why you said like, make it your own. So I did. So anyway, that's what happened. And so he broke that out, and he's like, I really like you. I was like, well, I don't like you, and I didn't say that, but I thought that. And and so he was like, so I'll send you an email, and hey, this is what he said. This is what I told you. This was my favorite part. When we were leaving, he said, oh, and by the way, I wouldn't say when you do your final thing, I wouldn't say that anything about the Comedy Store canceling you. I wouldn't say that. Just say you're taking a hiatus. That's what I think it's best that you say that. And I said, that's not true. And he's like, yeah, but you don't want to lose subscribers. And I was like, I'm not going to lose the Comedy Store losing subscribers? I said, wait a minute. You just told me how low my numbers are, but why would there be a worry of losing subscribers if my shitty little podcast brought nothing to you? And it was just, I said, I'm not going to say that. He's like, well, you don't have to, but I would just suggest. I was like, you're a fucking idiot. No, I'm going to tell them exactly the truth because they deserve to hear the truth. And so that's kind of how it ended.
Yeah.
And then I stood up, and you know how I'm very touchy, a hug and stuff. I stood up and I just walked out, and he like followed behind. I wasn't going to touch him. And he's like, can I at least get a handshake? And I was like, ugh. Fist bump.
You know what he should have ended that with? If you're going to talk about this on the last episode, maybe don't mention about this meeting. Maybe don't talk about this meeting. You should have cared less about fucking hiatus and more about like, maybe don't let people know how this meeting went because it's not going to look great on me.
The whole thing was so gross. I was like, are we doing this?
It's just so funny. It's like, we have to just, work. That's what this whole place is about. And by the time this episode comes out, I will have sent.
You'll be gone.
Well, yeah, but I will have sent a last day email that will probably get me banned from here. But it's just like, don't try to control the messaging. You had your chance to control messaging when I was part of that. And now that I'm not part of this, you cannot control the messaging. The reason people aren't aren't going to unsubscribe is because I'm being honest with them. And I'm not sitting here. First of all, the other thing that's pretty fucking insulting is that he thinks his version of the Comedy Store network is the be-all, end-all, that you guys were just going to get dropped by the network and be like, oh, well, we're just going to stop doing the show altogether. And it's like, not a single person has said that. Every single show that got canceled, which is every single show, I think 11.
11 podcasts got canceled?
Justin's is still.
Yeah, there's two, right?
No, Justin's is left. And Justin's the Comedy Store podcast, obviously. And then the Doorcast is being reimagined, canceled. So.
Reimagined. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fucking Little Mermaid. But what was I just going to say? Oh, he genuinely thinks, like, just say you're on hiatus, as if these guys who have put in a year or almost a year into their shows are just going to say, this isn't good, I don't believe in it anymore because this guy told me it's not on a network anymore. I'm going to stop doing it. Every single show that got canceled has come to me and told me that they're going to look for a network. I told them, I'll help you get onto whatever network you want. I'll talk to Audio Boom. We'll move things over. We'll figure it out so that you can continue doing what you're doing wherever you're doing it. But not a single person has said, I guess that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
No. So it's such a egotistical, psychotic way to think that, like, oh, I just told this person they're off the network. Maybe they should let people know they're on hiatus. I wouldn't want them to think that they got canceled. No, you didn't get canceled. All we're doing is we're relocating the show. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. And I'm very excited to be wherever I am right now on your YouTube page.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because this is a good show. I genuinely, my biggest thing here is I never wanted to waste people's time. If I didn't see potential, and I had to cancel shows. I was very honest with them. And I said, and they were shows that were here before the pandemic, but then you took 2 years off. Their subscribers were gone. Everything was gone. They weren't hitting certain playlists. You were still hitting playlists. You're still being featured on the comedy page in the interviews. So there were just shows I had to cancel because they literally took a 2-year break and that was it. There's not a single show here that I think would need to cancel. Like, I'm not wasting people's time. The second episode, if I thought you were wasting your time, I would have said, this isn't good. I think you took a minute to feel comfortable doing it, but from anyone in this room, it's a good show. You're a great interview. You're fun with the guests. Like you're just, you know what you're doing in terms of keeping a conversation going. I really think it would be a shame if anybody listened to what he was saying and decided I have to end my show now.
Here's the thing, but here's what's great, is because he's dealing with people that I don't think he knows who the fuck he's dealing with. You're dealing with comics who have had more rejection and callous to that shit. Like, how many times that people, get, sorry, Jen's writing something, that people get, I'm so ADD, I'm like, you're on your phone, she's writing something.
No, just saying where they can see.
Oh, okay, no, thanks.
And that's the website that we link to.
Oh, you rock. All right, thank you so much. Sorry.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
Our producer who's been here almost all 32 shows.
Yeah.
Team effort.
It is a team effort. And I just, look, it sucks. Like, listening to you talk, like, it
does suck.
It sucks. Not you. Like, no, how many times that there's so much rejection and so many fucking people who constantly tell you it's not good enough. Your numbers aren't good enough.
Yeah.
You're nobody. And like, there's always that. Like, it doesn't.
He did.
Go.
He did it the week that people were getting rejected from New Faces.
That part.
You think they give a shit about this?
That's right. Oh my God, that's right. That's where people aren't rejected. They're in Montreal this week, and the rest of us are here. I didn't apply for anything, but still. But you're right.
You kept the one that they're like, we'll send you there. Okay, I'll send you.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know. I think, if I didn't, and people in this town, comics, didn't have more of, luckily we have mental illness. We're like, and most of us are on the spectrum, so social cues are nothing. We're like, what? And then you're like, you're fired. You're nobody. You're like, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. And you just keep showing up thinking it's going to work out. Like, I think that's part of it. It's a good part of it. But I think initially when I was told that I was canceled, like I definitely felt sorry, that was loud. I felt bad, but I'm also relieved a little bit and excited because I like, that's the thing. I like creating new shit. Like, and if that's somewhere else, then that's the jam.
And the industry as a whole, and that this is where we're going to see a lot of people thriving, especially people that are like creative like you. The industry as a whole is shifting. We're seeing it with the strikes. People are the amount of independent, self-produced, original content is growing, while the studios, especially with the streaming stuff going on, are going to have to scale back to some extent. They're not going to be taking on as many projects. They're not going to be doing good projects. They're all relying on their IP, which is essentially what's going on here. Like they're relying on the IP that they own. Nobody fucking asked for a Grease prequel, but Paramount was like, let's do a prequel to Grease. So like what's happening here is the only shows they have that IP over are the Comedy Store podcast, the Comedy Store Doorcast. Like that's what they're going to have to lean on, because everything else, as soon as they don't like what's going on, they can bail.
Yeah.
And that's what's great about this situation is that you can continue doing this. Literally the only thing that changes is where the YouTube video is going to live.
Yeah.
The audio is still going to be available on all platforms. The video is going to still be available, but on your page, which you don't have that many less subscribers than the Comedy Store on YouTube. So nothing has to change. It's just the only real thing that changes on the production side is the studio. It's going to be shot somewhere different.
Yeah.
And the video is going to live somewhere different. Nothing else is changing.
Not in a cave. It won't live in a black hole cave.
That's correct.
That's called the Comedy Store. Can I ask you this last thing?
Yeah.
Will this be like an X situation? Will you go and visit the Comedy Store studio page on YouTube?
I think I'm going to be banned
here?
from visiting everything.
No, not the store.
No,
physically.
I think I'm going to be banned from visiting the YouTube page.
They're
going to block me. It's going to be a doozy.
But if they don't block you, will you go there and see how their new life is going?
Probably. I mean, I follow them, so I suspect. Well, actually, I muted them, even though I run the page. Probably not. I mean, if it pops up in my feed, it pops up in my feed. But
yeah,
I genuinely, and like they hired another guy up there who I really like, and I hope that. What I hope is that 2.5 years didn't go to waste and things don't completely collapse. One, because I'd feel bad for the owner who paid me for 2.5 years of work and all of that as if I didn't do anything, because it's all gone. But I genuinely want the comics here to succeed because I've become friends with a lot of them.
yeah.
Like, I genuinely want everyone's project to succeed. I think the Door Guys podcast, as is fucking amazing. Just four people talking shit about what they deal with day to day. How are you reimagining that? What are we doing? We're going to call it the Door People podcast.
Yeah.
I mean,
like we bring in actors who pretend like they're door people to make it
to protect the identity,
make it more attractive.
Yeah. I want everyone here to succeed, and I hope that they're given that opportunity and not given 3 months to get 1 million listeners. I mean, the way I determine if a podcast is worth continuing is after 4 months. If I see a continual uptick in listeners, we're going in the right direction. Joe Rogan didn't become Joe Rogan until 800 episodes in. What would have happened if he was in this situation? He would have been canceled because he didn't have 1 million in 3 months. It's like the whole point is to get ahead of the curve. And I think I did that. I still think every podcast that just got canceled that's going to continue is a good podcast.
Yeah.
The Dogs of Browntown, I think it might be our only podcast with people of color. It's a great show. It's something that should have been kept here.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And when the 3 of them blow up, they're 3 door guys. 2 of them just became paid regulars.
Oh, nice.
Like you see 2 of them are going in the direction of success. Why would you cancel that?
Yeah.
So I don't want this to fail, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, history repeats itself.
It's a bold thing to do. It's a heavy undertaking. Like that's the thing. Like even managers and agents won't even work with new talent rarely because they want you to come already ready to go. They want you to, have 4 million followers and touring because you're making money. Does that make sense? Like that,
of course.
It's how it goes.
But that's the other thing that's not being taken into consideration. One of the things that I've loved about this job is watching people do their podcasts here or listening to the episode. Like usually Katie's producing it, so I'll listen to it when it's released. And then hearing certain things become bits of theirs on stage. And it's like, this was supposed to be a toolkit for comics. It was never meant to be the next big $1 million idea. It was meant to make enough money to just keep things afloat, especially the podcast network. Yeah. The production with the specials and all of that goal would be make the money, keep this afloat so comics can develop the way that like Mitzi had the artist colony. Justin's a big example of that, where he'll talk about something here. That week, he's already working on a bit about a topic that we discussed here. Mm-hmm. So it's just like you took away an opportunity for these guys to develop stuff here. And they're going to remember that when they do blow up. And it is what it is. But it's just, yeah, I'm here for the comics. I'm not here for the Comedy Store. This is just a building.
Are you going to set it on fire?
Okay. If we're going to be honest, this place is setting itself on fire. The light started leaking from the toilet last week. So the liquor room got flooded because the light in the liquor room started leaking water from the belly room toilet.
The light in the liquor room started spilling water in the toilet.
Yeah, was that New York?
Yeah.
It was very New York.
The light in the liquor room.
The light in the liquor room.
She did. Hello.
From New York.
The light in the liquor room started spurring right in the toilet. It did. It was horrible.
It was really funny.
Horrible. Well, can you tell us where you're going next? I know you've leaked baby surprises on your Instagram
I cannot,
page.
but by the time this comes out, I am.
I'm in Texas.
I'm in witness protection.
I know. I feel like
the owner's going to be trying to sue me for something.
Be in a bunker.
I am starting my own business, so that is one part of what I'm doing next that I could talk about, because I guess when this comes out, I will have announced it.
And you'll be in Europe under a different name. You'll be a woman.
Okay, so here's the thing. As much as I said I just hated podcasts,
you'll be Joan.
I'm going to be a woman.
In Italy.
Yeah, I'm going to be a woman in Italy making pasta.
Joan Bapia.
Sure. She does have characters in there. They're just sitting up there.
Making pasta. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Is that what they do in Italy? As much as I said I hate getting pitched podcasts, I'm starting a development company, the Dev Pit LA. It's basically the one thing I learned about just hanging with comics and everybody here. Everybody has great ideas, but they're so scattered with the development of it. Like some of the pitches I get were just Word documents with ideas written out in full sentences. And I'm like, there's no structure at all. It's just one long run on. Yeah.
It's on pages.
I got a text. I have an idea for it. So like, I want to be able to help people succeed. And so it's going to be just helping you TV, film, pitch decks, podcast, pitch decks. The one thing people don't take into consideration is having a pitch deck for advertisers. So just helping them develop it and doing it for reasonable cost, which is, I've spoken to people who are creating pitch decks for thousands of dollars, and it's like, no, the people who need pitch decks don't have that money. Do something for people that are on a low budget but still want to create and have something structured, and we're going to be able to attach writers and have people just help you develop your project so it becomes pitchable. So, I forgot what the website is, but it's DevPit LA. And that's going to be the company, and that's it. And then watch my web series, Building Friendships, which you did an episode.
Yeah, when does that come out?
I don't know yet because there are actually a few people that are interested in licensing it. So
Ooh.
it might be out right now. No, it's probably not until September the earliest. I'm still recording some episodes. I don't know when this episode comes out, but you did an episode and it was fucking amazing.
We had such a good time.
It was one of my favorite clips.
Tell people what it's about.
Building friendships is so one of my weird hobbies that keeps me sane is I build Lego and it just helps me clear my brain. And I started doing it when I had my surgery 9 years ago, and it just helped me get over that and keep me busy. So I bring on just entertainment friends to talk shit, talk about entertainment, careers, sports, whatever, art. And we build Lego, and I pick out a set for my guests, and we try to watch them build Lego and
Talk at the same time.
And talk at the same time. Yes, I understand that's a difficult thing to do. Yours was more of a visual thing. You were having difficulty seeing things, finding pieces.
Actual real pieces.
Yeah.
That were really in front of me.
Yep, they were.
That did not.
Yeah.
You know what?
It was one of my favorite things ever.
We had a really good time, and I still do want to apologize for putting that much heat on you that I couldn't find it. And I apologize to the company Lego for accusing you of not including a piece that was there. So I'm growing.
So I have one exit interview question.
All right, okay, and then we have to draw. You have to do our final drawing.
We could do that now. So let's do the drawing, and I'll ask you the exit interview question.
All right, yeah, because this is your challenge to talk and do something at the same time.
All right, ready?
And you'll see how hard it is.
Number 1.
Oh, you're going to, okay.
What prompted you to search for another opportunity?
Well, my producer and boss left. My producer who brought me on quit.
Would you like to get into more detail?
I mean, the reason that I was doing this show is because the producer who brought me on kind of was the motor of the thing. And then he was like, 30 episodes in, like, I'm leaving. And I was like, well, shit, I guess me too. And then I technically got fired.
Okay. Next question. How has your job changed since you were hired?
Well, it's no longer existent. So
that seems like a big change.
I should collect unemployment somehow if it ever paid. I would be making more money.
Do you feel valued and recognized within the company?
Wow. Based on data and statistics, my value is negative, and I don't feel valued within the company. The company. But I hope I get to take my 401k, or is it a 403b, with me.
Okay.
Where I haven't made any interest on my savings, but eventually it's going to work out.
Okay. The next question. What factors could have influenced your decision to leave or stay with the company?
What factors? Well, if there was any feeling or breath of hope when I walked down the basement of the Comedy Store that things were going to work out, I think it would have breathed a little life into me to keep churning out an episode. But I think, I've been deduced to wearing just socks. I don't even wear shoes on my podcast anymore. Like, slowly but surely, the depression is...
I think there's a podcast that already has that theme. You're going to need a new...
I think it's every podcast that doesn't wear shoes. People wear their pajamas now. I know. I feel like if you get dressed up for a podcast, you're like, what are you, running for president? What are you doing? So, yeah. I don't know if I'm answering these questions.
No, I think you're doing great. I get this.
Company.
Okay, would you recommend this company to a friend? Why or why not?
What? Did you rip? I'm dead.
You're not dead. The podcast is dead.
Oh, the podcast with headphones that we don't wear.
The podcast studio.
The podcast here at the Comedy Store is dead, and it looks like a banana on top. Is that a banana?
It was a moon.
A moon, and what's on the other top? A bird?
A bird, yeah.
So
this is gonna be a big. This is gonna be a big one in the auction.
Well, make sure you sign it. The Grim Reaper.
Neither of us are ever working at the Comedy Store again.
Ever again. I've kind of, I don't know, I've let it go. Whatever. I guess, you know what, John? I guess I never played the game correctly, and I'm still not doing it correctly. So we'll see how that goes for me. But I'd rather sit here and tell people what's actually happening than to fucking. I can't take it anymore. Like, yes, it's a show, but at the same time, it's like there's some shitty stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
And that's not just, that's everywhere, but it's like, I don't know. I think I've come to acceptance that if stardom and celebrityism is not my, like, it's not in my cards, like, it's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, I've never done it the right way, how you're supposed to do that. So I guess I'm right on brand with continuing on that path.
Yeah, but I also think there's a difference between, I think there are two different types of celebrities. Well, two different types of artists. There's, hey, I want to win awards and be famous and do all this, which I don't see you as. And then there's, hey, I just want to be able to make money and live off of something I actually enjoy doing.
Totally.
Which is what I see you as.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't see you as that celebrity who needed the fame and all of that. But also, like, continuing this podcast is going to be, it's going to grow. It's going to blow up. We are not even a year in, and the numbers are still going up. And yes, I mean, the nonsense of like, oh, I see some sprinkles of numbers here. Yeah, of course, when we have X guest on, Bobby Lee, who's known for all of versus me, yeah, there's going to be a difference in numbers. Mm. What are you even saying? The whole point is like, what do you...
But people, that's the thing. I look at it as like, I don't know. Every episode is its own episode. The people that I bring on, like I just had my niece on
of course
episodes ago because I wanted to have her on.
That's the beauty. It's your show.
No, but like everybody has fucking family. It doesn't have to be. Don't get me. I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna get fired up, and I don't want to.
I thought you were gonna just say I'm gonna get fired. Like that happened.
That's okay. None of that is. That's not.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to do good work. I want to.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do. If the outcome of bullshit fame and whatever doesn't, fine. It's fine. Like honestly,
fine.
I've been here long enough. Fucking great. Like,
yeah.
I just want to be good. Like I want to be.
You are.
But create good work that is helpful to people, whether it's for them to laugh or hear something that they fucking relate to because they have a shit job and they're freaking getting not you.
Oof.
Out there in the world.
Oof.
Am I getting too aggressive?
You're getting very worked up. You're sitting up straight. I don't like it. She's sitting up straight and I'm getting nervous.
I'm just passionate.
You are. Kentucky
State
Fair 91.
I'm gonna.
No, you're right, and I think that's why this show's going to continue.
That's all, and here's the thing: the people that have there's the people that do follow me are loyal to like cult followers. Like they are. Like I have people that. What are you doing? Anyway, fuck my life. Listen, I love you, and I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to do this. Truly, I'm telling you, because you're the kind of person that it's like, without you, people that, need the beginning, they need people like you that have just the willingness to be like, I think you're great. Let me at least just give you a pad and a pin so you can start.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to make you, you're going to be a huge director, but let me get you started. And and we need that. It's fucking needed. Like, because people that have their own studios, they're good. And so, but there's always people behind them. Like, it's like, they're not it. They're a part of the flow. Yeah. And then when they're old and fucking 80, they'll be the people that started here at the podcast who are fucking 20. You know what I mean? And then they'll be in their shoes. Okay, I'm still going.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think it was very, like I said this before, it was a no-brainer to try and get you to do a show here. I mean, it's something that I would have tried to do if I wasn't running the studio. Like, you should have your own podcast. You're very good at what you do here. And, like, that's it. It wasn't like me stretching like, oh, this person is funny on Instagram. she'll be great on a podcast. Like I knew you were going to be good at this, and then at 2 episodes in, I was like, oh, she's good at this.
Speaking of, and we'll end on this, is that you also have an exiting stand-up show.
Oh no. Well, it's over now.
It's done?
Well, it's gonna be.
But it's
this
not gonna-
episode is. What are you talking about?
Just Michelle Singleton's show.
Yeah, that's gonna happen 2 weeks ago.
Oh, because this will be aired already. You'll be in Italy as Joan. Oh, I'm sorry. So you haven't done the show yet, though.
No, the show is August 12th. This can't come out till after August 22nd.
Okay, so you did.
We're keeping all of this in. I love this. I'm trying real hard to not get fired before my contract
No,
is
I
up.
understand. Me too. I do. Want
Oh, maybe I was like, maybe then I'll claim unemployment and not take one of these job offers.
Oh yeah. Okay, but you are gonna do your last quote unquote stand up show.
It has happened by now, yes.
On Just Michelle Singleton's show, which is remember me the name.
The show's called
Revival?
Joke Revival. Definitely go see the show. She does it every month here in the Belly Room. My retirement show is over, but the next one, they're always good. It's always fun for them to have. They bring all these comics on to bring their old material, go through old notebooks. It's always a nightmare.
Is it really?
It's a nightmare in terms of like having to do your old material.
Is it funny though?
It's fun. Some of it's funny, and some of it you're like, oh, okay, I get why this is not done anymore.
But that's what's so funny.
Yeah.
Will you ever go back to stand up?
No, I was never. So just really quickly, because I know we're going over, the whole thing with stand up for me was back then, before social media, before you had a way to really advertise yourself. You did stand up to get seen by writers that would like showrunners and writers that would come to the shows in New York. So like every time I did one of Jess's Gotham shows, there was always someone I was meeting there that was a writer for Fallon or a writer for whoever else was out there. I guess at the time it wasn't even Fallon. But it was Leno, I think, or actually it was probably Letterman. But whatever, you performed because you wanted to show that you were funny, and I hated performing. I love writing, hate performing. Like I write features, like I love writing, hate getting on stage. So that's never something I wanted to do. I don't mind this because there's no audience. It's just like we have 2 people in the room other than us. This is great. But I don't like getting on stage like the dancing monkey and just that a group of people being the make or break of the rest of my night. Or until it was always the make or break until your next show, because it was like you think about that, and if you bomb, at least me, I thought about it until the next show where I could try to redeem myself, and then if I bombed again, I just want to hang myself. So I didn't like that. I already had stomach problems. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. We don't have great stomachs to begin with. Yeah, so I did not need that. And yeah, this is my retirement show just because I love JMS, and I like can't work at the Comedy Store and not do one spot here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a 5-minute spot from hell, and I'll get through it.
Well, you did a great job on the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
in the
The one from
future.
2 weeks ago.
You did a great job. I just adore. Hopefully, we'll be.
I'm done with you after this.
Okay, I had a feeling I was gonna stretch it and be like, I hope we.
No, I
Never
love you to
change.
death, and we're gonna still talk and hang and.
We will, and John obviously will have new adventures coming up in his new career that will follow.
A showgirl.
As a showgirl in Vegas. We're really excited about his new costume and his new surgery.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So for my, Jen just put a sign down, I guess for my new show, by the time this airs, visit notcoolpod.com, and on YouTube, go to Sarah Hyland Comedy, and then that is where, for now, Not Cool Pod will reside. And we're going to keep going. And it's, you know what? It's a new adventure. And we're going to find a new location. And maybe there'll be a new set. Maybe I'll build a whole new set.
You're out of control.
Maybe it'll be in a yard. Who knows? You know? But this world's kind of a shit show. So I think everybody just kind of, if we can just brighten the spot where we are, John, that's the only goal. Well, I just brought that down to a nice nosedive. Anyway, I adore you.
I love you.
Thanks for being my last interview at the Comedy Store Studios. From where we started.
I am honored.
Thanks.
This was fun.
It's like you birthed me, and now
We just shit talked a lot.
I know. I'm like, should
And
I
you know
go
what?
into the
We didn't
Romas?
mention a single name.
We didn't. I think I might move to New York City.
I'm going to Italy.
Or maybe like Canada. Oh my God.
Oh man, this is bad.
Should I start
Just
playing
follow
ice
us on
hockey?
Instagram. We'll tell you where we're at.
I'm going to set it to private though.
People are gonna have to beg to follow me.
I'm going to go to Elon Musk's new Twitter.
X.
You can find me there. I'll be a right-wing Republican
I just re-X'd.
with a new Karen haircut, and my name will be Sue.
Well, this is okay. I think the lights are giving her heat stroke. There are 2 more lights than usual.
I don't
was
like
the
that, by the way.
That was a big improvement since he got here.
I walked in the studio because I'm like, can you make it darker? Like, I am like, can we do candlelight?
We're actually...
And I walked in and there's 2 more lights. I'm like,
Yeah.
this isn't going to work for me.
That's the one thing I said. I was like, listen, the one thing they really like is how hot it is in the studio. So if you could get 2, 3, 8 more lights in here, it'll make everyone way more comfortable.
The podcast I just finished. I went to the bathroom and my eyeliner is rolling down my face. I was like, fuck me. God, fuck. Not good. Anyway, I think I've lost 16 pounds since working here due to sweat, but I love this sauna for how long it's been here, but I'm ready to move on just like Jon Sosis. So rip to Not Cool Pod at the Comedy Store Studios, but it will be rebirthed somewhere else.
That's right.
Just like Jon Sosis. Through somebody's new vagina.
Okay, we're off the rails.
That's enough.
That's enough. Please make this stop.
I never was good with goodbyes.
I think that's a wrap.
I never know how to say bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Thanks.
Hit that subscribe button.
I never said that.
Oh, what is it? What's the right phrasing? Smash that subscribe button.
Smash that. Yeah. No.
Oh, smash it right here. They have it.
Yeah. Mine
Wearing
was bye,
Scooby-Doo
bitch.
socks?
No, they're like little strippers.
Oh, even better.
You're in your career.
Smash the subscribe button. I need new socks.
Hey everybody, you want more Not Cool? Then go to Instagram and subscribe to Not Cool Pod, and or on my own personal page, which is Sarah Hyland Rosenstein.